So for this problem set, we're going to look at solving linear inequalities. And I'm going to show you how to do the first three. Uh, so let's take a look at this first one. Okay, this is not an inequality that has an equal sign, but it's similar to what you're going to be doing with inequalities next. But to solve this, you don't have to do it exactly the way I'm teaching you, which is what Delta Math does, but this is my recommendation. First thing you want to do is see how you have 8x here and you have 5x here. Well, only one term should have x. So first thing you should do is get rid of this. And to do that, you're going to add 9 to both sides. And then once you do that, then you get rid of this. That way you have x's just on one side. So let's look at how Delta Math solves it. Just like we said, add 9 to both sides. That way this goes away, and this becomes 18, positive 18. And then you get rid of the 5x by subtracting 5x from both sides. Okay, then you get 3x equals 18. And then the final step, once you have one term with x and just a number on the other side, divide by 3. Now when you do linear inequalities, it's going to look very similar except for this symbol right here. But the steps are similar, but Delta Math says do them in a little bit of a different order. They say get rid of this first. You'll have 2v and v, 2v over here and v over here, so one of them's got to go. So they say you should subtract v from both sides. And then get rid of this by adding 4 to both sides. Well, let's pop out their recommended solution. Yep, so like we said, subtract v from both sides, and then add 4 to both sides, so you get rid of that, so that you just are left with v. So here the symbol doesn't change the whole time, okay? But in the next example, it's going to change, and that's the only difference between solving this type of problem and the one we did just before. Okay, so first, for this type of problem, subtract 4s from both sides. Start with this. Okay, so what's going to happen over here? When you subtract 4s from over here, 2 minus 4 is negative 2s. And then you write down the rest, except this side only has 8. Then you're going to add 6 to both sides, so that what you're going to have left is 14 on this side and nothing more here. So let's pause and take a look at what Delta Math says. Okay, yep. So we subtracted 4 from both sides, 4s from both sides. And then we just had the 8 here, which is good. And we added 6 to both sides, and it became 14. But the difference is over here you have negative 2s. Okay, so Delta Math will tell you switch inequality when dividing by negative. So your final step is to get rid of that negative 2 by dividing, oops, right here, by dividing by -2. But when you divide by a negative, you switch the direction of the inequality. So instead of pointing this way, you switch the direction of this and it points that way. Okay. So the way this reads, by the way, is you would say S is greater than. Because the alligator likes to eat the bigger things. I don't know if that looks like an alligator, it's more like a fish. Or the shark eats the big stuff, and S is greater than this side. So to do things the delta math way, to summarize, if you've got an inequality where you have the variable here on one side, but you have that same variable, well, let's call it an 8x on this side, your first step is to subtract this one. Subtract the one on the right. So you're going to have 4 minus 8. Feel free to do that in a calculator. And then this is no more. And then get rid of the constant term by doing that twice. And then you'll have negative 4x is less than negative 9. Okay, final step. This won't always happen, but in this case you do, since you have to get rid of that negative 4. If negative 4 is multiplying to x, you've got to divide by negative 4. But when dividing by a negative, switch the inequality. Okay, so that cancels out. And you have x, and I'm going to switch the sign greater than negative 9.